More gun violence over spring break and another school shooting. We have the story.
And the climate time bomb is ticking as the world runs out of time to reverse the effects of climate change.
I'm here at the Denton Civic Center. Find out how you can keep Denton beautiful later in the show.
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is ntTV Nightly News.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us on ntTV Nightly News. I'm Sean Smith.
And I'm Jordan Weir. All classes at Arlington's Lamar High School have been canceled for Tuesday after this morning's deadly shooting on that campus. One student was killed, another injured, and the third student was arrested and charged with capital murder.
The shooting took place just outside one of the buildings at about 7 a.m. before school started. One male student allegedly fired 2 shots, striking another male student. He was rushed to a local hospital but died later in the morning from the gunshot wound. Another female student was injured and taken to the hospital by her parents who were still on campus. Police are not yet sure whether she was hit by gunfire or by debris. The school went on lockdown while police secured the buildings.
At the All Clear, school officials opened a reunification center about noon for parents and students to meet. That center was closed about 3:30 this afternoon. Both the alleged shooter and the male victim were 17 years old. While there seems to be no clear motive for this shooting, officials say videos show the female and male student waiting outside the building to open, and it appeared they may have been targeted for the attack. All extracurricular activities at Lamar have been canceled tonight.
For years, Miami has been a hotspot for college students to party on the beaches during spring break. Unfortunately, some students bring guns and violence with them. This violence climaxed over the weekend after 2 people were shot and killed.
Mayor of Miami, Dan Gelber, will counteract the violence brought by spring breakers by attempting to cancel spring break in Miami altogether. It will no longer be an all-day, all-night party in Miami Beach this spring break. After 2 fatal shootings over the weekend, along with the excessively large, unruly crowds, Miami Beach officials issued a curfew. It started Sunday night at midnight and ended 6 a.m. on Monday. The city manager said a similar curfew is expected to be issued for Thursday night, the 23rd, through Monday, the 27th of March. Hotels in the area are allowed to continue regular business, but only to guests who are registered at the facility. Here's what Mayor Gerbler had to say about the situation.
We have the police presence we need, but events are still happening and crimes are still happening. So the only solution at this point is just to stop spring break, which is something I've been trying to do for years. And I hope we can find a way to do it because we don't want a spring break in our city. So for us, it's a question of volume, it's a question of young people acting out, and a question of guns, all mixed together to make an entirely ungovernable situation, which we don't want any part of.
Shootings have plagued America for far too long. Students, teachers, and everyone alike have hoped, prayed, and fought for solutions to the crisis. One tech company, KT Security, looks to roll out a new technology that can help prevent more casualties.
2 elementary schools in Coleman, Alabama will now have bulletproof safe rooms that can be set up in a matter of seconds. When not in use, the system is just a floor-to-ceiling whiteboard that fits up against the wall. Pull the handle and in 10 seconds you have a safe room that locks from the inside. The area provides shelter from an active shooter and in the event of severe weather. The founder and CEO of KT Security Solutions came up with the idea after the mass shooting at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. The 2 rapid deploy safe rooms are the first in the nation. It's great to see companies taking initiative to help save the lives of students.
I agree. Now, let's take it over to Chris Goodwin so we know how to prepare for the weather ahead.
Thanks, Jordan. It is definitely cold out here, but there are certainly no clovers in this atmosphere. Today, we're seeing temperatures as low as 53 degrees, and the wind speeds are certainly not helping with going up to 21 miles per hour. We are having cloudy conditions, which seem that they are going to be staying till tomorrow. Tonight, the temperature will be dropping down even more down to 50 degrees with wind speeds up to 15 miles per hour. Tomorrow, the temperature will be rising just a little bit, but not too much, up to 68 degrees. Now, while I have you here, it is the first day of spring, at least officially. But of course, it doesn't feel quite that way. However, things are going to be taking on a much better feel. Days are getting longer, and of course, with daylight savings time, that means we can also get out to enjoying outdoors a bit more. Officially, this is the spring equinox. What that means is the world sees about the same amount of day and night. It happens as the Earth tilts while revolving around the sun. For us in the northern part of the world, we are turning towards the sun, while the southern part of the world, south of the equator, is moving away from the sun. They head toward their winter. So all this talk of warmer weather here gets me in the mood for a little bit of spring cleaning. And if you're in the mood for spring cleaning this weekend, a great place to start is right here in Denton Community. ntTV reporter Olivia Thompson is at the Denton Civic Center with more on how you can contribute. Olivia, what do you have for us?
Thanks, Chris. It's never too late to take care of the environment around you. But if you're someone who dreads the chore of cleaning, how about joining a group of friends or the neighbors in your community to make things easier, which should make much of a difference. Now, there's an opportunity this Saturday from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. right here at the Denton Civic Center to participate in the 35th annual volunteer opportunity called the Great American Cleanup. Now, this is the largest and longest running community cleanup opportunity that Denton does. Various volunteers will be placed into groups and sent to different areas of Denton to keep the community clean and beautiful. Now, your long hours of service will not go unnoticed, as there is an appreciation volunteer party directly afterwards from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. where In-N-Out Burger will be serving free food and additional sponsors will be present, such as Insomnia Cookies and Beth Marie's Ice Cream. The walk-up registration begins at 9 a.m. on Saturday, but be sure to bring your own disposable gloves, trash bags, hand sanitizer, and sunscreen as you see fit. After all, spring break is over now, so now that you're back home, take a look around in your community to see how you can make a difference. That's all I have. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Olivia. But there's also another kind of cleanup that involves the city of Denton, cleaning up graffiti. ntTV's Lily Kosh takes a look at how the city is handling the problem.
Austin Graffiti Park and Denton's very own Nook on Fry Street have one thing in common. They were made for people to feel free and express their creativity through art. But what happens when people decide to color outside of the lines? With applying graffiti being a crime in Denton County, local bookstore Vertman's Nook is a rare exception.
We make all the kits for CVAD students, and we thought it'd be cool to have a place to express that.
Even though the Nook was created as a safe space for everyone to enjoy, its limits have been pushed and taken advantage of.
We put the sign up with the rules. Obviously, some of the rules are not to paint outside the Nook. We've got a big building, and we've got a few other properties around the building, and in the past we've dealt with people tagging those without our permission.
And Vertman's isn't the only location where people go to illegally graffiti. You can find many examples of this around town on businesses, bridges, and by the railways. And while some may see graffiti as a great way for people to express themselves, the City of Denton management analyst Omar Siddiqui asks for artists to steer clear of defacing these city structures because of the serious negative impact it can have on the community.
I don't want to discourage young artists from, exploring their development as artists. I would just encourage them not to do that on our buildings and facilities.
To combat the issue, the city created #DentonCleanup, a system that helps business and property owners easily report graffiti to the city that will then take care of the situation.
I will say the city is very responsive to come out and get those cleaned up. A lot of times we will call a phone number and in the next 48 hours they'll come up and paint over it.
The city is here to try and facilitate what we can in terms of public art and art programs with our Parks Department and our recreational centers.
Denton residents are highly encouraged to report illegal graffiti in order to keep Denton clean. For ntTV, I'm Lillian Kosh.
And we have more news when we come back after this break.
Did you know you have access to video equipment like DVDs, video games, and cameras? That's right, you do. Come on down to Chilton Library and fulfill your media dream. Located on the bottom floor next to the student sculpture. Hope to see you there soon.
Hey girl, you know you look good. I like the way you move and groove. I'm not sure.
Unrest is a situation not unique to the United States. As the United Nations released a new climate report, the Intergovernmental Panel reports that the world is rapidly approaching catastrophic levels of heating. It pulls together what the IPCC has already set out in a cluster of other reports over the last few years. So the science is not new, but it paints a very stark picture of where the world is heading. The report says the impact of the planet heating pollution is already more severe than expected, and that we are hurtling towards dangerous and irreversible consequences. International climate goals are set up to slip out of reach unless immediate and radical action is taken on Monday. The Secretary General of the United Nations said time is running out. Antonio Guterres called it a ticking time bomb for the climate. The report says the biggest threat to climate change is the world's continued addiction to burning fossil fuels. All this happens as world governments continue to approve additional oil, coal, and gas projects.
With the changing climate, there's growing research that weather is having a greater impact on our health. A study from the Asthma and Allergy Foundations of America show that Dallas is at the top of that impact. All that sneezing, wheezing, and itchy, puffy eyes you've been experiencing is all about allergies. Dallas is the worst city in Texas and second worst city in the entire country for pollen allergies. Trees, grass, and weed pollen are the culprits, which Kansas is apparently even worse as they come in as #1 in the sneeze-o-meter. As for other cities, Texas, Houston comes in number 12. So grab your Kleenex, it is that time of year. It's definitely the time for teary eyes and runny noses.
Jordan, it is midterm season.
No allergies, Sean.
That too. Chris Goodwin is here to give us more information.
Apparently, allergy season means colder temperatures as well. Looking across to all of North Texas, we're seeing really low conditions, staying around the low 50s. Common trends around 52, 56. Stephenville down here, we're seeing at 58. Graham at 56. And if we look over here to my left, we're seeing McKinney's at 52, Dallas at 52, and then over here at Fort Worth is at 54. Regionally, however, we're seeing a little bit of a warmer conditions, but not too crazy of different trends. El Paso's actually going to be one of the warmest at 68, and Amarillo at 65. Looking over here at Houston over on my left, it's going to be at 56, and in Austin at 55. Now, for your 7-day forecast, we are having pretty mixed conditions all week. Tuesday, we're going to have a 17% chance of rain, so definitely bust out a raincoats. Wednesday, we're going to have a high of 81, so finally getting into those warmer conditions. But unfortunately, with those warmer conditions, we're going to have really bad weather for the Thursday and Friday. Thursday, we're going to have stormy weather, so be careful. We're going to have a 62% chance of rain with a high of 79 and a low of 58. Friday is not going to be much better with a 43% chance of rain showers and a high of 76. Saturday, though, we're finally going to get back to that good weather. It's going to be sunny for the next 3 days following afterwards. Saturday, we're going to have a high of 77. Monday, however, we're going to come full circle and drop down to 64. That's all I have for your full weather. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Chris. So, how was your spring break, Jordan?
I mean, it was pretty good. I went home to San Antonio. I slept a lot, and I didn't even need a place to stay.
Well, it's good your vacation went so well. Some new regulations here in Denton might make it more difficult for those looking for a place to stay. Said to Sebastian Nava, who has more on the story.
Thanks, Jordan and Sean. Short-term rentals here in Denton are now back under the spotlight as there is now growing pressure to amend the 2019 Development Code requiring all short-term rentals to register with the city as well as pay a monthly 7% hotel occupancy tax. Last month during a committee meeting, Denton Principal Planner Ron Menguita stated during a committee meeting that out of a predicted 200 to 250 short-term rentals listed on sites like Airbnb, only 8 of the short-term rentals are following the full guidelines. Menguita added that an additional 7 rentals are registered with 3 other registrations that have expired. Now, the city of Denton has reached out to Airbnb for help and for plain old comments on this issue, but have yet to receive word on either. The Development Code Review Committee has committed to addressing this issue, calling it a high priority in its bi-monthly meeting. So be on the lookout for updated regulations and restrictions as this story progresses. Now that's all I have from out here in front of Denton City Hall. Back to y'all in the studio.
Thank you, Seabass. Some great news for UNT. President Neil Smatresk recently briefed the UNT Faculty Senate on future allotments for the school, optimistic that the state legislature will grant more money to the university than ever before. This is thanks to the productivity of the university's work as a Carnegie Tier 1 research institution. President Smatresk says he's hoping this university gets legislative action prior to the end of the regular session for performance-based research funding. That will give UNT the appropriate funds as the highest-ranking Carnegie Tier 1 institution in North Texas.
Thanks, Sebastian. Well, certainly one good example of the growth that has made the area. This is the new university complex in Frisco. ntTV's Gabby Cardin has more on how that campus has a new look thanks to a local artist.
This is UNT at Frisco, the newest addition to the UNT family. The spring 2023 semester is a first for Frisco Landing, giving opportunities to students like Archit Kakare that they never would have predicted.
The entire class had a meeting with the architects and the contractors and the designers of this building. And one of the things they emphasized on was acknowledging the native land that this is built on. And so that was my inspiration for this. And it's also the mascot of UNT. It's not the eagle feather, but it's the eagle.
After he settled on a unique design among many other students, his was selected. Now it was time to make his vision come to life.
We went with aluminum because it's really easy to work with. You can just bend it by hand. It's really lightweight, very user-friendly. I was working with 23 Design Co., which is a sculpture fabrication company. They were the ones who helped me figure this thing out because they have a lot of experience working with aluminum specifically. This is my first aluminum sculpture as well, so I had no idea what I was getting into.
Despite the challenges, Archit's hanging sculpture design was a success and is now on display for both new and returning Eagles in Frisco, with one message in mind.
Sort of like a sense of inclusion, and they're all sort of nice and comfy and together, and I wanted to convey that sense of togetherness.
If you're looking for something fun and interactive on campus, the Student Health Advisory Committee may have the perfect activity for you.
That's right, Jordan. The organization is hosting an event right now. Our live shot reporter, Madison Myers, is there with more information on the event and how you can get involved. Madison?
Where students get the opportunity to tie-dye their very own shirt. Now the organization is providing printed instructions along with gloves for protection and a plastic bag to place your shirt in once you finish. Now, as you guys can see, I've already got a head start on my tie-dyeing, and I have to say it was a little bit more challenging than I expected, but I think I'm starting to get the hang of it. Now, fortunately, members will be here all throughout the event to help out with any needs or questions that you may have. Hopefully, you all get the chance to come out and show off your tie-dye skills. That's all I have for now. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Madison. Tired of spam calls? Well, there might be a solution.
And lots of updates for Dallas sports fans. Stay tuned after the break.
Has the weight of stress and anxiety ever felt too heavy to overcome? Wish there was a safe place to confide in? Wish granted. At UNT, we offer counseling and testing services to students located on the 3rd floor of Chestnut Hall. UNT, we're here for you.
Spam calls have become the new target of the FCC. CNN's Mike Valerio has more on the crackdown meant to put a stop to unwanted calls and messages.
The Federal Communications Commission voting unanimously to adopt new rules to keep scam texts off your phone. Phone providers must block text messages from phone numbers that appear to be invalid, unallocated, or unused. The FCC also saying carriers will be required to block messages from phone numbers that claim to never send text messages and numbers that the government has identified as not used for texting.
This isn't going to be like an instant fix. It really takes time to make progress.
This move mirrors the government effort made to shut down illegal robocalls. Now, a major increase in spam and text messages seems to have taken robocalls' place.
But it's really difficult to enforce it effectively and to get everybody on the same page because of technical challenges, but also because you don't want to be stopping legitimate communications.
Authorities say scam robo-texts may be even more dangerous than robocalls because the texts may contain malicious links to software that could infect your phone. FCC Chairwoman Jessica Rosenworcel saying, quote, scam artists have found that sending us messages about a package you never ordered or a payment that never went through, along with a link to a shady website, is a quick and easy way to get us to engage on our devices and fall prey to fraud.
It's not your fault if you fall for a scam. That's the whole point. That's what they're trying to achieve.
In Los Angeles, I'm Mike Valerio.
I, for one, cannot stand spam calls. I hope this makes a huge difference.
Well, this issue does affect everybody with a phone. Personally, I wish they would go away forever. So Jordan, what city do you think is best for sports in the United States? Like overall, like the best city market for sports?
Maybe New York, Boston. I'm not sure, honestly.
You're close, but still wrong. Our most valuable player, Amanda Molini, however, has the right answer. And it's a lot closer to home than you thought. Amanda.
According to a new study by the Sports Business Journal, Dallas is officially the best city for sports in the entire United States. Aspects like cost of living, taxes, and state regulations are what attracts so many businesses inside and outside of the world of sports to North Texas. The 7-month study judged cities by a number of opportunities and how people felt about the local sports economy, beating major cities like New York and Los Angeles in both the amount of sports organizations in the market and the quality of the venues. Think AT&T Stadium and the Rangers' new ballpark. It should come to no surprise that Dallas came out on top.
Well, love them or hate them, looks like the Cowboys really are America's team.
That's exactly right, Sean. But while Dallas may be the top dog, the sports world is a whole lot bigger than North Texas. In fact, when we come back, I'll tell you more about an impactful moment that happened just last night. Stay tuned.
What does Talons do?
So I am the Vice President of External Relations for Talons. That means that I basically oversee all the external committees. Our external committees entail our Model A, it's a Mean Green Machine. So they bring it to football games especially, so every game it's kind of there, every home game. The Model A is like a symbol of UNC pride, and it's a big tradition that we are so lucky to uphold and maintain. When people look at it, they see it, and they're like, oh, that's the Mean Green Machine. There must be a game today or something to ramp up school spirit for basketball, softball, volleyball, any of those things. We have amazing teams, so we just want to show school spirit for them. Bonfire Committee, which is in charge of putting together the bonfire every year for homecoming. It's kind of just a whole semester-long process up until Build Week that we have to put together and oversee and make sure safety regulations are followed and risk management is taken care of. Cannon Crew, which oversees and takes care of the cannon. They fire it at games, they take it to special occasions.
That Jaylee Mitchell is out as the head coach of the North Texas Mean Green women's team. But unfortunately, the Mean Green didn't get to don their dancing shoes this March, but they are still finding success this spring in the postseason. The #2 seed in the National Invitation Tournament have beaten Alcorn State and Sam Houston State to make the third round for the first time in school history. Yesterday against the Bearcats, the team put up a season-high 16 three-pointers and won by 20 points. This team has reached a historic 28 wins this season and looks towards the quarterfinals, which will be tomorrow night in Stillwater, where they are set to take on the Oklahoma State Cowboys. It'll be the 17th all-time meeting between the schools, but the first time in postseason action. The winner punches a ticket to the NIT Final Four as they continue on the road to Vegas. But for those on the winding road to Houston, this trip has been brutal. A total of 12 upsets have been busting brackets left and right this past week. The second 16 seed to ever upset a 1 seed, Fairleigh, lost in the round of 32 and turned FAU from the Cinderella story of the season to the biggest jerks in college basketball. The finance majors of Princeton are now the underdogs in a tournament that has been anything but ordinary. It took less than 48 hours for millions of brackets to be busted this March. Only 2 #1 seeds remain, but nothing is set in stone as the Sweet 16 tips off this week. Frankly, I had Texas A&M winning it all, so I was definitely a part of those brackets busted on day 1. But my World Baseball Classic bracket, however, is looking much better than my basketball one. Team USA went 3-1 in pool play last week in Arizona. They took on the likes of Great Britain, Canada, Colombia, and Mexico. They advanced to the quarterfinals as the runner-up from that pool, and since leaving Arizona and setting up shop in Miami, they have been firing on all cylinders against their opponents. Saturday night, they beat Team Venezuela 9-7, and then took on Team Cuba in the semifinals last night, showing off their offensive power in a 14-2 victory. Against Cuba, efficiency was the name of the game, seeing 14 hits on 14 runs. Trey Turner has been carrying the weight of the country on his shoulders in the last 2 games, going 3 for 5 with 2 home runs against Cuba and a go-ahead moonshot against Team Venezuela. They await the winner of Mexico-Japan tonight, with the finals taking place tomorrow on Tuesday. Team USA has their work cut out for them in their second World Baseball Classic finals ever, but look to be WBC back-to-back champions come Tuesday. If you look at the numbers provided by Major League Baseball, you would agree that baseball is a dying sport and my joy as a consumer of the sport is fleeting. However, the fight for glory in the World Baseball Classic is one of unmatched energy amongst players and fans both. In the 2023 rendition of the World Baseball Classic, the stars of Major League Baseball played amongst their home countries, bringing the energy back to the competition. MLB Chief Operations Officer Chris Muranak told ESPN that international growth will be the biggest driver of business. Teams play through qualifiers in the fall, which allowed for Great Britain to see their first ever WBC. And this means a lot for them as their governing body of baseball is volunteer-based and they don't even have a home field. Through social media, the tournament has taken off, sparking interest on Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook, with a group of over 145,000 looking towards the event all over the globe. 43% of Japan was tuned in during the games of the first round, while 61% of Puerto Rico tuned into the quarterfinal game against Mexico. The remaining games taking place in Miami, Florida are completely sold out, with the WBC looking to bring in well past $100 million. Beyond that, the impact remains to be seen as Cuban national team's bullpen catcher Ivan Prieto defected following the loss to the U.S. Like I mentioned at the top of this segment, UNT's Jaylee Mitchell is out as UNT head basketball coach. Mitchell leaves after 8 seasons with the team and a record of 111 and 127. That's all I have for sports today, so best of luck if your bracket isn't busted yet, and it's back to you guys at the desk.
Well, Amanda, thank you for that report. Very wholesome. Looks like that's all we got for ntTV News tonight. Sean Smith signing off. I thought we could, man.